If your money plant is sitting there looking perfectly fine but absolutely refusing to grow those big, bold, gorgeous leaves you see all over the internet, you are not alone, and you are definitely in the right place. There is actually a specific reason your pothos or money plant is producing small leaves, and once you understand it, everything changes. The secret that most beginner gardeners in the United States never hear about is this. Your money plant desperately wants to climb, and when you give it the right support, specifically, a cocoa pole paired with proper aerial root care, the transformation in leaf size is nothing short of stunning. This blog is going to walk you through every single thing you need to know, from the science behind why it works to a complete care routine that will have your plant producing leaves so large your neighbors will stop and stare. Let us start with the plant itself. The money plant most Americans grow indoors is typically Epipremnum aureum, commonly called golden pothos or devil's ivy. Its scientific classification places it in the Araceae family, and in its native habitat across the Solomon Islands and Southeast Asia, this plant does not trail along the ground the way it does in most American homes. It climbs, it wraps its aerial roots around the trunks of massive rainforest trees, and inches its way upward toward the sun-dappled canopy, and as it climbs, something remarkable happens. The leaves get bigger. Scientists call this developmental change, anisophily, and age-related morphological shift. A 2018 study published in the journal Frontiers in Plant Science demonstrated that Epipremnum aureum grown on vertical supports produced leaves up to 3 times larger than identical cuttings left to trail horizontally. The mechanism is rooted in phototropism and a hormone called auxin. When a money plant climbs, auxin redistributes more efficiently along the growing stem, encouraging cell expansion in the leaf blade rather than simply lengthening the petiole. In terms, give the plant something to hold on to, and it rewards you with leaves that can eventually reach 12 to 14 inches in diameter. This is where the cocoa pole comes in. A cocoa pole, also called a moss pole or coir pole, is a vertical support structure wrapped in coconut coir fiber or sphagnum moss. Unlike a plain wooden stake or a metal trellis, the cocoa pole mimics the rough, moisture-retaining surface of a living tree trunk. The aerial roots of your money plant can actually penetrate the moist coir fibers, anchor themselves, and absorb both water and nutrients directly through those root tips. This is the entire secret. When aerial roots are left dangling in open air, the plant gets no additional nutritional or hormonal benefit from them, and continues producing modest leaves. When those same roots are pressed gently into a moist cocoa pole, the plant receives a continuous trickle of humidity and trace minerals, and the leaf growth signal fires much more strongly. You can find cocoa poles at most garden centers across the country, at home improvement stores, and easily online. For a small to medium money plant, start with a pole that is at least 12 inches tall. For a mature plant, go for 18 to 24 inches, so the plant has room to climb over time. Setting up the cocoa pole correctly is where beginners sometimes get tripped up. And it is simpler than you think. Push the base of the cocoa pole firmly into the center or rear third of your pot before you repot, or while the plant is actively growing, so the roots are not disturbed unnecessarily. The pole should stand upright without wobbling. Next, gently guide the main vine of your money plant toward the pole and use soft plant ties, twist ties, or even strips of old pantyhose to loosely attach the stems. You are not cinching the vine tight, you are simply asking it to lean. Within 2 to 4 weeks, if the pole is kept consistently moist, the aerial roots will begin reaching toward it on their own. Mist the cocoa pole lightly every 2 to 3 days, or use a spray bottle to thoroughly wet it once a week. Some growers even wrap the lower portion of the pole in plastic briefly to trap humidity. The goal is to keep the outer core layer damp, not soaking wet, which would invite mold. Think of it as the surface of a forest tree after a gentle rain, cool, slightly damp, and alive. Now let us talk about light, because without the right light, no amount of pole training will unlock big leaves. Money plants are famously tolerant of low light, which is why they thrive in American offices and dim apartment corners. But tolerant of low light does not mean they prefer it. For maximum leaf size, bright indirect light is ideal. Position your climbing money plant near a north or east-facing window, where it receives several hours of soft, diffused daylight. South and west windows work too, but keep the plant back far enough that the leaves never sit in direct afternoon sun, which scorches them quickly. Outdoors in USDA zones 9 through 11, money plants can be grown in dappled shade with brilliant results. Indoors across most of the continental United States, supplementing with a basic full-spectrum grow light for 6 to 8 hours daily can make a meaningful difference in leaf size. Especially during the low-light winter months of December through February, research from the University of Florida's IFAS extension confirms that insufficient light is the single most common reason money plants fail to produce mature, large-leaf phenotypes in home environments. Temperature is another factor that American beginners frequently overlook. Money plants are tropical, and they genuinely thrive between 65 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit. Most American homes fall comfortably within this range during spring and summer, which is why you often notice faster, larger growth during those seasons. In winter, keep the plant away from cold drafts, exterior windows that drop below 50 degrees at night, and heating vents that blast dry, hot air directly onto the foliage. Sudden temperature swings stress the plant and cause it to redirect energy away from leaf expansion toward basic cellular survival. Stable warmth, combined with 60 to 80% relative humidity, creates the closest thing to a rainforest microclimate you can achieve in a living room. A small humidifier placed nearby, or a pebble tray with water beneath the pot, goes a long way toward reaching that humidity level without creating condensation problems on your walls or floors. Watering is probably the area where more money plants are lost than any other. The correct routine for healthy roots on a climbing money plant is deceptively simple. Water deeply, then wait. Poke your finger about 2 inches into the soil. If the top 2 inches feel dry, water thoroughly until the excess drains freely from the bottom drainage hole. Then wait again until those top 2 inches dry out before you water once more. In a warm, bright location during summer, this might mean watering every 5 to 7 days. During cooler, darker winter months, it could stretch to 10 to 14 days. Never let your money plant sit in a saucer of standing water. Root rot, caused by the fungal pathogen Phytophthora, is the #1 killer of money plants in American homes. And it begins the moment the roots are sitting in stagnant moisture. If you notice yellowing leaves starting at the base of the plant, mushy lower stems, or a sour smell from the soil, root rot is almost certainly the culprit. Act quickly by removing the plant from its pot, trimming any blackened or mushy roots with clean scissors, dusting with powdered cinnamon, a natural antifungal agent, and repotting into fresh, well-draining potting mix. Speaking of soil, a climbing money plant performing at its best needs a mix that drains fast but holds just enough moisture to stay productive. A combination of high-quality indoor potting mix, perlite at about 20 to 30% by volume, and a small amount of orchid bark creates an ideal environment. The perlite ensures that excess water moves through quickly, while the bark mimics the chunky, organic debris that naturally accumulates around tree roots in a rainforest. Avoid heavy garden soil or pure peat, both of which compact over time and suffocate the fine root hairs that the money plant depends on for efficient nutrient uptake. Fertilizing correctly is what separates a money plant that survives from one that truly thrives. During the active growing season, which runs roughly from March through September, across most of the United States, feed your money plant with a balanced liquid fertilizer at half the recommended strength every 2 to 3 weeks. A balanced NPK ratio such as 10-10-10 or 20-20-20 covers the nitrogen the plant needs for deep green foliage color, the phosphorus it needs for strong root development, including those critical aerial roots, and the potassium it needs for overall cellular function. Some experienced growers supplement with a light application of worm castings in spring, which introduces beneficial microorganisms that naturally improve nutrient availability in the soil. In fall and winter, reduce feeding to once a month or pauses entirely, as fertilizing a dormant or slow-growing plant leads to salt buildup in the soil that can cause brown leaf edges. And root damage. Pruning is a tool that beginners often avoid because it feels counterintuitive. How can cutting a plant make it grow bigger? The answer lies in the money plant's apical dominance. The growing tip of each vine releases hormones that suppress the growth of lateral buds further back on the stem. When you pinch off or snip the growing tip, those suppressed buds activate and begin sending out new side shoots, which means more stems for your cocoa pole to support and ultimately more sites from which large leaves can emerge. Use clean, sharp scissors or pruning shears and cut just above a leaf node, the small bump on the stem where a leaf attaches. Do this regularly on any vines that are becoming overly long, without producing new leaves. And you will notice a fuller, more vigorous plant within a few weeks. Always clean your cutting tools with isopropyl alcohol before and after, to prevent the spread of bacterial or fungal disease. Now, you might be wondering, beyond being a beautiful houseplant, does the money plant actually do anything for you? The science here is genuinely interesting. A landmark study conducted by NASA in the late 1980s, known widely as the NASA Clean Air Study, identified Epipremnum aureum as one of the most effective houseplants for filtering indoor air pollutants. Specifically, money plants showed measurable reductions in formaldehyde, benzene, and xylene concentrations in sealed test chambers. These chemicals off-gas from common household materials, including furniture, paint, carpets, and cleaning products, while scientists note that the number of plants required to significantly impact air quality in a large home is higher than most people keep. Even a few actively growing money plants near commonly occupied spaces contribute to a fresher, cleaner, indoor environment. Beyond air quality, research published in the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health has linked the presence of indoor plants to reduced psychological stress, lower cortisol levels, and improved concentration and productivity. For anyone working from home across America, a thriving, climbing money plant near your desk is not just decor. It is a low-cost, low-effort wellness tool. Common problems with money plants are few, but they are worth knowing. Small leaves that stay small despite good care almost always signal insufficient light or a missing climbing support, both of which you now know how to fix. Pale or yellowish leaves usually indicate too little nitrogen or overwatering. Brown leaf tips typically mean low humidity or salt buildup in the soil from over-fertilization, both of which are easily corrected with a deep flush watering and a nearby humidifier. Root-bound plants, those whose roots have completely filled the pot and begun circling the bottom, should be moved up one pot size in spring, ideally to a container no more than 2 inches wider in diameter than the previous one. Going too large invites waterlogging. The most common pests on money plants in American homes are mealybugs, which appear as small cottony white patches on stem joints, and spider mites, which show up as fine webbing on leaf undersides during dry indoor winters. Both are manageable with a diluted neem oil spray, applied weekly for 3 to 4 weeks. Wipe down visible mealybugs with a cotton swab dipped in rubbing alcohol before spraying to give the treatment the best chance of success. Growing bigger leaves on your money plant is not about luck or a secret formula. It is about understanding what this extraordinary plant is actually trying to do in nature and giving it the conditions to do it in your home. A sturdy cocoa pole, consistent moisture on the aerial roots, bright indirect light, warm stable temperatures, proper watering, balanced feeding, and occasional pruning. These are the 7 pillars of a money plant that climbs boldly, grows enthusiastically, and eventually produces the kind of magnificent, plate-sized leaves that make everyone who walks through your door stop and says, "Wait, is that really a pothos?" Start small, stay consistent, and trust the process. Your money plant is already reaching towards something greater. All it needs is you to give it something to hold on to. If you love learning about seasonal flowering plants, vegetables, gardening tips, and nature care, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Nature Nurture Hub, your home for year-round garden inspiration. Let's keep growing together.